So in this video I'm just going to talk about how we're going to sort out the wiring to the pickups for this 1981 Ducati 500 Pantah. Now the ignition system on this, the Motoplat system, is common to quite a few Italian bikes of the era. I think some of the Moto Guzzis use it, and some of the Bevel Ducatis, also the later Bevel bikes, also use this ignition system. So this video is probably applicable to anything with that ignition system on, though I guess the pickup system might be slightly different. I'm sure the theory is exactly the same. So one of the problems I had when I was doing this was actually just using the timing light. I found it really awkward to use, not least because the clip-ons are on the opposite side. The throttle's on the opposite side to where the window is, and the window is very low down. So the best way to do this, actually, you can actually do it yourself. So if you clip the clip on the sensor, so we're going to do the rear cylinder. I won't connect this up at the moment, but the power leads go next to the battery. What you do is take the window out, which is no doubt blacked up, so it's absolutely useless. Take this out, start the bike, just get it so it's ticking over, don't worry about doing it yet. Okay, and then quickly what you need to do is move your hand to here on the throttle pull. You can actually control the speed of the engine just on the rear cylinder by doing this. So now you can get your timing light right up against the window. It's going to be throwing oil out, so if you get your light right up against it, it'll help stop it like throwing hot oil right into your face and all over you. Pull the button and then you can just do that, and you can rev it and then down again, rev down, and you can see it advancing. And that was the best way to do it. That's the only way I found was actually reasonably effective way to do it. Okay, so the first step here is to find the pickup pairs, find out which pair of wires are the pickups. Now I've already done that on this one, but for argument's sake I'm just going to show it how it's done. What I've done is I've set my meter to resistance. I've got my wires from the pickups here. I really don't want to move these, to be honest. What I need to do then is just to go across the pairs. Okay, so what I do is I get what I suspect is the pair, and I test the resistance across them, and if I see 240 in there, I need a little bit more there, so okay, 240 ohms, or around about 240 ohms, then that's the pair. Okay, so once you've got that pair, mark it straight away. Now it's easy to, I'll just remember it, but by the time you go out on the road you won't. Cable time together and stick a label on, in this case rear cylinder. Okay, how do you know which one's front and rear? Well, connect them up and run the bike, and if you've got a spark, that's good. If you disconnect that wire and the spark goes away, you know you've got that pair. So after that you should know which pair of wires are front and rear cylinders and which pairs go together. If you're starting from a completely blank slate and you've no idea where the wires go, you're just going to have to just try all the combinations really. If the bike's not running at all, the timing light's no use. So what the best thing to do is, actually on my one I've actually got the wires. I've got the original colour wires here, so it's actually reasonably easy to tell what's going on. So one of them is black-white, and one of them is white. So they're the pairs really. So you don't know which pair is which, but you know that connecting black-white to black-white or white to white across a pickup will be wrong. So you know that each pickup's got to go between a black-white and the white. So try a combination, and what you find is that typically what you'll find is the bike will now run, so you'll be able to put the timing light on. From this point then, it's a simple matter of working out the polarity of which way around they need to go. What they don't tell you is that if you have it the wrong way around, you get no advance. That's the important thing. But if you actually have it across the pairs, so if you have it black-white but you're across the pairs, so you're, for example, on the bike side, you're black-white on the front cylinder and white on the rear cylinder, the bike will run fine, the pickup will fire at the right point, and the bike will statically time, but it won't advance. So in that case, what you need to do is go to that other same colour but the other pair, if you see what I mean. That's the trick. So there's actually not as many combinations as you want, and it's a lot easier with the timing light because you can do it here in the garage rather than trying to do it out on the road. You've got no time of light, you're just going to have to work it out. But if you logically think about it, you've got to go between a black white and a white. It's just a matter of getting that polarity the right way round. Okay, so let's explain that. I'm showing it on the bike. Let's explain that on a piece of paper, what I'm getting at. It's pretty difficult to explain. So the issue is, we divide this into two. We've got 4 pickup wires. And we don't know which one's which. We've got 4 bike wires. We don't know which one's which. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the meter. I'm going to set to ohms and we're going to test between these. I'm looking for 240 ohms. Forget about 240 ohms, then we know we've got a pair. So if we measure our probes between these 2 wires and we get nothing, we measure between this one and this one and we get 240, then we know that that's a pair. And so the other 2 are a pair. So check both of them. You should have 240 against them. So just for clarity, let's say that we've got 240 between these 2 and 240 between these 2. We know these 2 are the pairs. So this is one pickup pair and this is another pickup pair. Right, now the next thing to do now is establish which one of these is which is the front cylinder and which is the rear cylinder. So what we're going to do is we just connect them up where we think they need to go. Right, and then we run the bike. Now hopefully we've got a spark. If you don't get a spark, take the wires out and just try a different combination until the bike sparks. We're not really worried about the bike running and we're not worried about time at this point. We're just trying to work out which one's which. So if we've got a spark on the rear cylinder, we can then pull one of these wires out. Pull a pair of these wires out. And if that spark stays, we know that's the rear cylinder. If it goes to we only end up with the front spark, then we know it's the other one. So we should be able to establish which one is front and rear by just removing them. So say for argument's sake, we're going to do this. We know that's front and rear. So we're halfway there now. We know which pair is and which one is which. Now it's best to label them at this point. Now you could write it down on a piece of paper what you want, but I found that when I tried to then ride the bike on the road to try and set it without the timing light, I would forget. You know, you're busy riding the bike, you're worrying about cars pulling out and stuff, and by the time you do that, you sort of forget which wires are which. So I would just cable tie the pair together and then stick a label on front and rear, F and R or whatever you want to do. Okay, so now the next step, we need to know which ones they go into on the bike. So on mine, I still have the original wires here, which just made things massively easier. So how this works is there's seems to be 2 pairs of wires. One is black white, and one is just white. So for argument's sake, we know that, but we don't know which one is which. What we do know is that a pickup must go between these 2 colours, like a black white and a white. It can't go between white and white or black white and black white. We know that's wrong. So we know that it must be there. So there's basically only 2 combinations to test. So, but what the problem is and that what I did on mine is I had it across the pairs. So I had, so for argument's sake, I had the rear cylinder connected to white here, but then I had this one connected up to here, and that was wrong. And what it should have been is connected to here. So you just got to basically try these combinations. If you get it wrong, that will actually run. So if you put this combination in, the bike will run and it will statically time, but it won't advance properly. And that is the same as having them the wrong way round. So you could have that to there or that to there. There's the 2 options. And that could be wrong. So you've just got to basically try it out. You know that it's got to be across a black and white and a white. So you know that. So it's just a matter of doing that. If you try it and then it doesn't advance, put the timer light on. And if it doesn't advance, try a different combination. If that doesn't work, try a different combination. Like it should only be, I think it's actually 4 combinations, isn't it? It should only just be 4 combinations. I'd concentrate on one cylinder first. So for the rear cylinder, so I'd disconnect the front one and get the rear cylinder. Okay. And then see if you can get the timing light to run. You're actually going to have to run the engine. Use the method I did by pulling on the throttle cable just to keep advancing the motor and slowing it down again. And that's basically how I did it. I guess you've got a bigger problem if you've replaced these wires here and these colours are mixed up. You're going to have to try and trace these back through the loom and try and find out which one's which. If you put the meter onto these trying to work out which one, I thought you know, naively that one of them would be an earth, and so therefore you'd be able to establish some colours by working out which one's earth. But no, none of them seem to be earth, so they all seem to go to the ignition system. So you're just basically gonna have to try and work it out. But if you don't have these colours, then you're a bit snookered. I would firstly try to follow these back through the loom and see if you can work out which one goes to which. Now there's 2 ignition modules, so I'm guessing what happens is one set of wires goes to one ignition module and one goes to another ignition module. So I guess if you do that, you might be able to trace it through. But that's basically how I did it. So hopefully that's some use to someone.